one red dress for every year in the 20th century. In the early 1900s, fashion went through significant changes as it moved away from the Victorian era towards a more modern one. At the start of the decade, the structured silhouette of the Gibson girl remained popular, but the more relaxed and simplified styles that would define the century didn't emerge until later. Instead, women's evening fashion was characterized by modest dresses, corset-shaped bodices, and extravagant ornamentation throughout the first decade of the century. Fabrics such as silk, satin, and chiffon were popular choices for evening gowns, often adorned with lace, embroidery, and beading. Fashion in the 1910s can be split into two phases, pre-war and wartime. The decade began with a softer silhouette compared to the previous decade's dominant S shape. While corsets had transitioned into a more natural form, early styles still emphasized this look. As the S shape began to diminish, skirts started to narrow, and a revived empire waist style emerged during this time. As the 1920s began, the aftermath of the First World War deeply impacted society, culture, and fashion. A significant change in women's fashion emerged, marked by a newfound simplicity and a departure from formal, layered styles in favor for comfort and a more natural look. The modern 1920s dress was characterized by a dropped waist and shorter hemlines, often made from affordable fabrics. Both waistlines and hemlines underwent similar changes, with evening dresses sometimes reaching the ground. While both daywear and evening wear focused on simplicity in construction, evening attire benefited from elaborate decoration, including beadwork, sequins, and embroidery. As the 1920s flowed into the 1930s, women's fashion gently transitioned from the boyish charm of the previous decade into a more feminine silhouette of the early 30s. Hemlines descended back to ankle length, and waistlines returned to their natural position. While the simplicity of the 1920s produced a straight, masculine silhouette, the uncomplicated lines of the early 30s fashioned a softer, more feminine outline. By this time, the fashionable silhouette was evolving into a slender, elongated torso with broadening shoulders, conveying complete femininity. As the 1930s ended and World War II began, different fashion narratives emerged in France, the United Kingdom, and the United States during the first half of the 1940s, due to the war's impact. After the war, these fashion narratives began to converge again with the introduction of Christian Dior's new look. Evening dresses generally embraced a more tailored and structured appearance, featuring fitted bodices and slim, slightly flared skirts, representing a conservative yet elegant style. Due to fabric rationing and the practicality demanded by the war, evening dresses commonly had shorter hemlines and simpler designs with more modest fabrics. The 1950s was characterized by full skirts, fitted waists, and luxurious fabrics. This era marked a departure from the practical constraints of World War II and embraced a return to opulence and femininity. The hourglass silhouette became the epitome of evening fashion. This was often achieved with the help of layered petticoats. Fabrics such as silk, satin, and tulle were popular choices for these gowns, and they were often adorned with intricate beading, embroidery, or lace detailing. The influence of couturiers like Christian Dior and Cristobal Balenciaga was significant during this time as they introduced designs that showcased grandeur and elegance. In the 1960s, women's evening wear underwent a dramatic transformation, reflecting the changing cultural and societal landscape of the time. This era saw a departure from the structured and opulent designs of the 1950s, giving way to more youthful, streamlined, and modern silhouettes. The influence of the mod and space-age movements brought about a shift in evening wear, with designers embracing sleek, minimalist, and futuristic designs. The silhouettes evolved towards a more form-fitting and slender shape, often A-line or column-style dresses that accentuated the natural contours of the body. Bold, geometric patterns and vibrant colors became prominent features. The 1970s was characterized by a diverse range of styles. Evening wear embraced a sense of freedom and individuality. The disco influence brought about a love for glamour and glitz, leading to the popularity of slinky, form-fitting dresses. These dresses often featured daring necklines, open backs, and shimmering embellishments. The bohemian trend introduced flowing, ethereal maxi dresses and skirts, often crafted from lightweight fabrics such as chiffon and silk. These designs featured romantic floral prints, billowing sleeves, and a relaxed, free-spirited aesthetic. In the 1980s, there was a strong emphasis on glamour, excess, and self-expression. Evening wear embraced a range of flamboyant styles and luxurious materials. One of the defining features of the 1980s was the emphasis on power dressing. Evening gowns and cocktail dresses often featured exaggerated silhouettes, with voluminous sleeves, ruffled details, and asymmetrical designs. This era saw the rise of designers like Azzedine Alaïa and Vivienne Westwood, who introduced innovative and daring styles that pushed the boundaries of traditional evening wear. As the 1990s approached, a more minimalist and understated style began to be desired. One of the defining features of the 1990s was the prevalence of sleek and streamlined silhouettes. Designers favored clean lines and simple shapes, moving away from the exaggerated silhouettes of the 1980s. Dresses featured minimalist cuts, often as slip dresses, sheath dresses, and column dresses, crafted from luxurious materials like silk, satin, and chiffon. Monochromatic palettes were also favored. Overall, women's evening wear in the 1990s was characterized by the departure from the excess and flamboyance of the previous decade, embracing a more refined and minimalist approach that reflected the changing attitudes and values of the time. Thank you so much for watching this video, as we took a look at one red dress for every year in the 20th century. Please let me know in the comments which dress was your favorite. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video.